I'm here to kind of set the mood and set the vibe and welcome y'all into our space tonight. So I want to say thank you for being here and making the trip out to XBK here in the Drake neighborhood. And if you're watching at home, thank you for tuning in and being a part of the festivities this evening. Once again, my name is Madison Ray, and we're going to play a little game of, so where do I know you from? So make some noise if you've been here to XBK before. All right, welcome back. So good to see some familiar faces. If you're not familiar, I'm usually sitting at the door being like, hey, here's your wristband. There are the bathrooms. So good to see you again. What about, do we have any Iowa PBS viewers? All right. Thanks to viewers like you, your boy got a job, so good to see you. What about Iowa Public Radio? Yes. Throw that support. Also, if you give them a call, tell them to play Madison Ray Records. I personally love you for that. So, yes. So, okay, Iowa Public Radio. What about the Des Moines Metro Opera? Yeah, I know, right? Like, what is a dazzling urbanite like yourself doing at the opera? Trust, I didn't know either, so that's why we're here. Do we have any theater fans out there? Yeah? Theater? Any tequila drinkers? Are you single? No? All jokes aside. Actually, if you are a theater supporter, I'll be at the opening of Singin' in the Rain. So keep your eyes open, because that opens here in town March 25th. So check out Singin' in the Rain and see some of the dazzling song and dance and tap dancing and all of the shenanigans. And I say these things because it takes a community to come together. You know, that thanks to your support, thanks to your interest, that we're able to keep putting on shows after the last couple of years and moving forward because of your support and your interest in the arts, that we're able to do this and keep doing that. So please give a round of applause for yourself, for supporting the arts, supporting your scene, and supporting your city. So that brings us to our next point. Our first comedian for the night, Coral Thede. Who's familiar with Coral Thede? Got some Coral fans in the house? Yes, indeed. Coral's such a good friend of mine. We were able to, come together during this pandemic and support each other as artists. She was part of the XBK holiday special. If any of you remember seeing that this last December, or if you tuned in, being able to bring a community of artists together and just celebrate the holidays. And she's so fantastically gifted. This guitar is not mine, it's hers. She also has this incredible show called Tits Up over at Teehee's every last Saturday of the month. Are you a fan of Tits Up? Yes. Shoot, say something about it. What's your favorite thing about Tits Up? She sings. Done, sold, all the tickets, go get them. So their next show is actually the 26th of this month. If you want to go see Coral again, if you really love what you're seeing, you can keep supporting. But also keep supporting comedy and keep supporting your local creative community. You do it through the tickets you buy, the drinks you drink, and all of your support. So are y'all ready to have a good time tonight? Are you properly liquored up or hydrated if you're of the proper age? So that's a no. Buy a couple more drinks. We're workshopping something new called the Bee's Knees tonight for my gin drinkers. It's pretty tasty. Scotty's behind the bar. Jack's at the bar. So, of course, be sure to say hi and get a tasty beverage as the night goes on. So without further ado, shall we get the show started? Help me out, man. He's saving his throat. Bless you, Angel. All right, so for everybody else and for his throat, are y'all ready for a show? You love to see it. Y'all keep the energy going and show your love for Coral Thede.
How we feeling out there? Feeling good? This is so fun. Thanks, everyone, for being here. You guys sounded like a solid 8. You brought it up to a 10. I like that. Love to see that. You guys look official. Just the way you're looking at me. You guys seem fun. I'm just kind of scanning the room here, seeing what I got. You guys are 12. So just gonna pivot a few of my jokes from that. How many of you have been to Tits Up before? A few of you? Thank you very much. You might be able to read my shirt. It does say support DSM women. Everything I'm wearing is Des Moines women-owned. I love to support the locals, and I think it's pretty kick-ass that we have a place like XBK to perform, so give it up for that. So the cool thing about what's going to happen is I don't know. I'm going to set a timer. We're going to do a thing. People are like, how do you prepare? And it's just my comedy is based on my life, the way I live it. It's pretty exciting. I can tell by your silence you agree. So I like to start at the beginning. Let's take it all the way back. If you want to close your eyes, you can if that feels weird. It is, so you don't have to do it. January 1st, 1990. Where were you? I was being born. And it was a pretty big day for me, just collectively as a person. It was 9:29 p.m., so it was a full, like, New Year's Day. And then, were you a New Year's baby? You got married. I'm sorry. Just kidding. I love pre-divorce. Kidding again. My parents did a number. Can't you tell? That's why I'm a comedian. This is my therapy. No, I love marriage and babies and stuff. That was sarcasm for anyone who didn't pick up on it. I do. I'm coming around to the idea. But when I was born, I always thought this cool thing about me that I was born to party. I'm like a New Year's baby. That's when it's a fresh start. You know, it's all new. It's shiny. It's a bright disco. Falling from the sky. It's a fun dress. Turns out, not so much. And this all came to a head when I was about 28 in line at Hy-Vee. You ever been to a Hy-Vee, kids? Yeah. Aisle 4, okay? Brenda's checking me out. Brenda seemed to have a rough Tuesday. And Brenda's like, can I see your ID for the 4 bottles of wine that I had gotten myself? And she was like, yeah, can I check your ID? She's like, oh, New Year's baby, huh? And I was like, I know, right? I was literally born to party. Exactly. She goes, wouldn't that be December 31st? And hands me back my ID. And in my head, I'm like, ha ha. But then I was like, oh my God, she's right. Like, Brenda just shattered my entire world, and she doesn't even know. She's just checking out my wine and bananas. Like, it's nothing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so right. Because January 1st, you know, that's the New Year's Day. But the New Year's Eve, that's the party. That's the dress. That's the ball drop. New Year's Day, that's me waking up at 4 p.m. next to a half-eaten Jimmy John sandwich and a couch I don't know. And that is way more telling of my life than anything else that happens on New Year's Eve. So that's when I found out my life was a lie. How old were you guys when you figured it out? It's been a wild ride ever since. Thanks, Brenda. It was the Hy-Vee on Court Ave, so just, you know, I just wouldn't go. Do you guys like Quick Star? I know gas stations are a sensitive topic right now. I was just thinking about their chicken sandwich. I don't have a joke or anything. That was a thought that I just had, so might have to get one of those later. You got what? Bosco sticks? This seems to attract a specific crowd, and by that I mean the 3 of you. Is that on the roller, like where the egg rolls? I just called it cheese-filled breadstick because that's what it is. Yeah, cheese-filled breadstick. Like it's okay. We're on the same page. You guys get it. Yeah, no, it hits different. I'm glad we had this conversation publicly in front of everyone. I was going to wait until a little bit later to bring this up. I think it's obvious to all of us that I have an IUD. Thank you. Yes, you'll find out more about that in a little bit. But what I also wanted to ask is, hey, how are you guys? What's up? Is it a birthday? Are you selling Girl Scout cookies? Like, what's happening here? It's your birthday? Oh my God, stop. Okay. I don't know how to talk to kids. Who do you know here? Do you know people? Okay, so you know actual people. I'm just here to talk to you for a little bit before that. What do you guys? Is this the afties or is this the before? Are you like going all night long? Is Chuck E. Cheese open after this? I don't. How old can I ask you how old you are? Oh my God, give it up for 14. Wow. Let me tell you. When I was 14, I was at home studying and reading my books a lot of books. I'm a well-read gal, if you can't tell by my personality. What's your name, dear? Sabine. Can you spell that for me? Sabine. That's a beautiful name. Coral, Sabine, Janae. Cool names. That's really neat. Okay. We're going to sing you a song, but I feel like we'll ease into it. We'll get to know each other a little more. And then I can make something up about you if you guys want. You're making me feel like I need to be on TikTok, so I'm going to come over here now. Has anyone been to the Breton Skating Plaza downtown? Yeah? Have you ever gone by yourself? Okay. Yeah, exactly. That was too big of a laugh. Now I'm self-conscious. So I just wanted to go one day, and I was like, I'll go, it'll be fine. I wore leggings, no underwear. Big mistake on my part. I was just freeballing it on this rink. I thought it would be okay. It wasn't at all. So I'm like skating. I'm the first person on the ice. You never want to be the first person on the ice, you know? It's like, and I don't know if you know this, I'm not Tara Lipinski, given who I am as a person. And so I like put on my laces, and I didn't want to be the first one, but I didn't want to awkwardly stand off to the side by myself. And this like whole line of like preteen IG TikToker, the kids, the Zers. That table, yeah. So I was trying not to point my finger, but obviously this group of kids walks in, and they like all sit on the bench. They like lace up at the same time. They've got like their like the appropriate gear, like a hat and gloves, because it's winter. I'm assuming they're wearing underwear probably under their pants where I'm not. And I'm just like, I was so intimidated, and I've never been like more like, how do I make myself disappear? And I don't, because it's a tiny ice skating rink, and you can literally see everything and everyone at all times. So I just start like kind of gliding, warming up the ice. And it made me remember this one birthday party I had where I went to an ice skating rink, and it was Young Arena in Waterloo, if anyone's been. Much bigger arena. And I'm skating around, think I'm Tara Lipinski, do a trick, think I do a trick, don't do a trick, skate around one more time, and this group of girls comes up behind me, and they're like, are you bleeding? And I was like, no. And I looked at my hand, and I was. There were blood droplets on the ice skating rink. So then I freak out, and I'm like, Mom! And she's in the stands because nobody cares about me. And my family has to run down. I'm like 8 at the time, and they take me to the back bathrooms. They took me to the boys' bathroom, which I was like, I can't go in there. Until this really cute boy came in, and I was like, okay, I guess it's fine, Mom, you can go. And they wrapped me up, and that was the day I realized I'm not Tara Lipinski. So fast forward to like 3 weeks ago, I'm at Breton Plaza, and I'm skating, and I'm trying not to be in my head about these kids who are around me. And I'm skating, and I fucking biff it. Did you catch that? I fucking biffed it. And nobody noticed, I don't think, although it was pretty obvious based on the tiny proximity of the arena. It's not an arena, it's a pond. And they like all skate behind me in like a line. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like I just go back to like 8th grade choral when like I get off the bus and kids would be like, fire crotch. And I'd be like, Krista, to my blonde friend, I'm like, that's weird. Why are they yelling that at you? And then she like look at me and be like, and I'm like, oh. So that's when I found out what a fire crotch is. If you guys didn't know, sorry that I'd be the one to tell you, but that's what it is. So I had all these flashbacks, and I'm getting up, and the guy who's like monitoring the skating rink is like standing over the little divot that I had fallen into, so no one else would. So I was a sacrificial lamb. And he's like, I'm just waiting on someone to grab a big orange cone. And I was like, okay, also a big orange cone. And I was like, maybe no more ice skating for me. But I didn't want to like just stop right away. So I just like kind of was like, old knees, skating things. And then I go around the rink a few times. And then I leave. And at the same time, these youngins, not you guys specifically, but your people, all like leave at the same time as me. And it was the saddest moment. All I wanted was an Auntie Anne's pretzel from the mall to like cure my pain. But I haven't been to the mall in years because I saw Clueless. Some of you will get that, some of you won't, clearly. But when I saw Clueless and they were on that second floor, and the scene where she's like leaned over, oh my gosh, I tell you what, that's when I was like, I can't do malls anymore. Can't do them. Have you guys been to a mall recently? I was way more depressing than I thought it would be. Shout out malls. Never forget. Are you guys, they had their heyday. Are you guys travelers? Do you like to go places? Yeah, I love that, especially after the last couple years. If you could, like, let's just say I have a private jet. I'm working on it. I don't have it yet, but I'm working on it. Let's just say there was a private jet out back. On the count of 3, yell out where you'd want to go. 1, 2, 3. Waterloo, Iowa? I was like, I got a Honda CRV. I can make that happen right now. After this, like, let's go. Waterloo, where? Anywhere else but here. That seems pointed. I thought we were having fun. I would go to Australia. Has anyone ever been? What'd you think of it? Anything else? Just how amazing? Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
The water.
Scuba diving.
Scuba diving.
That was there with 24 other students from Iowa State.
Oh, wow.
We went Melbourne, Cairns, Sydney, Togo, did scuba diving.
Are you like a paid tour guide for Australia? Is that what's happening?
I always wanted to go there.
That's amazing. I didn't know Australia had that many towns, honestly. In a way, I've never been to Australia, like in one sense of the word, but in a very another sense of the word, I have. So my parents met in college, right? College sweethearts. And they studied abroad in Australia. And so they go to this place called the Great Barrier Reef. Ever heard of her? This is my nickname in college. They, among other names, they go to the Great Barrier Reef. They have this like passionate night, I guess, of like looking at the stars. And there was this glass boat where you could see the bottom and the coral reef was just shining and glowing, whatever. Fast forward 9 months, they brought home a little souvenir. And that's how my name is Coral, you know what I'm saying? Thunder down under. Thanks, Mom and Dad. This is what we call pause for laughter. You guys are killing it, thank you. That story's not true, but it would be cool if it was. Yeah, no, my dad had a friend who had a sister named Coral. So you see why I have to tell the Australia story, right? Not a whole lot there. Thanks, Pops. And everyone's like, oh, is it because your hair? And I'm like, no, I'm the only redhead on either side of my family. Like, straight up thought I was adopted for most of my life until the mailman dropped off a big package one day, and I couldn't help but notice his ginger locks. And I was like, Bernard? I don't know how to segue because I just accidentally ate a whole ice cube. Speaking of ice, it's cold out there, am I right? The wind. That wind will get you. Australia's probably on my, if I did have a private jet and it could fit most of you in here, some of you guys would be fun. You could probably, I think you can drink in Australia. Not that you should, but I feel like it's 14. I didn't have my first beer till I was 37. I just want you to know that. as a collective for your family too? I'm not 37. That's an excellent point. That's what I was trying to prove to the kids. Thank you, ma'am. Wow, my cover's blown so much. Thank you for the flattering compliment. I feel very youthful, more youthful now. No, I've never been to Australia, but I have been to Ireland. Anyone go to Ireland? What'd you think? What was your favorite part? The cows? County Cork. I've been, yeah, on the west side. Yes. What was your thing? The music. Oh, the pubs. I thrived in Ireland for a variety of reasons. I mean, look at me. But I was in Ireland. I walk into an Irish pub at noon. I leave at 2 a.m. I have no bar tab. And spoiler alert, I didn't have anywhere to go home. I mean, I figured it out, obviously, but that was the most amazing 12 hours of my life. The people, the singing, it was like mugs hanging from the ceiling. And the thing about Ireland was I'd only dreamed of it for like my entire life, to go there. And so I was actually in Germany at the time, about to go over there, and I wore this really specific outfit, okay? I wore a white dress, which you can probably picture it. I wore a white dress, like skirt, and an olive green top, because redheads are supposed to wear olive green. But it was a low-cut top, because I wanted to look pure but fuckable. You know what I mean? I was eat, pray, loving my way around. You know what I'm saying? So I was a girl with a mission, if you will. I was reading a lot, is what I mean. Books. Love words. So I was on my way to this big Irish library that I couldn't wait to read. That reminds me of another story that I can tell in a way. I'll get there. So I'm waiting to go to Ireland, and I've all this whole time. So I got the outfit picked out. I've got the green. I've got the white. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. So we get off the plane, and I'm just thinking there's a separate entrance for me, not because I'm like an arrogant American, but because I'm an arrogant redhead. And I just thought there would be like a red carpet, LOL, where we all like enter the country. And I got stopped at Border Patrol, and they had some questions like, where are you staying? And I was like, don't know. They're like, what are you doing for work? Haven't figured that out. When are you leaving? Also, TBD. They had some issues with that. So she goes to her supervisor. She's like, I'll be right back. 45 minutes later, I'm the last person in the airport. Nobody knows I'm here because I think it's funny to like, surprise, I'm off the grid. And she comes back, and I was planning on being there for 3 months. She's like, we'll give you 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks in Ireland. And I was like heartbroken. And so I had 2 weeks. I crammed 3 months of reading into 2 weeks, which that's a lot of books. I got my passport stamp. You know what I mean? I'm a well-traveled gal. And it was pretty fascinating because in that time, I was able to see most of the country, do the pubs, do all the things. There was one night, I don't know if you've ever been in Dublin, but there was one night we were at this pub, and just a few doors down was a hostel, which one would think is pretty convenient to, you know, keep reading a book. Let's say a book you started in the pub, but you now want to finish privately. So somewhere in my 5th grade teacher is like super proud of who I've become. And so I'm like, I'm reading this book with this guy. It's super interesting. And we go to the hostel, and they're like, do you want to go up to your room? And it was odd because my room had 6 people in it, just also reading. And so there's 6 people in this room. There's no other rooms available. And she's like, I was like, do you guys have like a closet or anything? Like, we don't need a whole lot, you know, to read. And she's like, no, but we do have this apartment complex like in the back of the hostel, okay? So I'm gonna go over here for this part. So I'm like standing next to this guy, and they're like, the apartment's like €300 for a night. Mind you, it's like 2 a.m. already, so what I'm saying is I'm worth it. And I know my worth. And so they're like, I can show you. So she takes us like through this courtyard to this like furnished apartment, and I'm like 92% sure it was legit. But 8% of me is like, I think we just stepped into someone's apartment just for fun. I don't know how she got a key. But I would not have been surprised if they were like making coffee in the morning and were like, yeah, g'day, mate. I mean, that was Australian, but you get it. I get my countries mixed up. So no, I'd recommend Ireland to anyone looking to study. That's a good time. Thank you. This other time, I was at a pub. This is a common theme of Ireland, and they were like, the cops are coming, so we have to go to the back, which I've heard that numerous times. So like, the cops are coming, we gotta go to the back, and what they do in Ireland is they have a curtain. So literally the bar, the front will shut down, they'll turn off the lights, and then everyone just goes to the back of the pub. It's super cool. And we're just sitting there and hanging out, and end up meeting a friend, and we decide we're gonna sing songs all night, and we just walk right past my hostel. And I had a moment where I was like, I should probably I could just go right in there, but I didn't. I don't know if you ever watched the sun come up over a castle, but it's a beautiful moment. It's a really beautiful moment. I'd recommend it to anyone who wants to see castles, or the sun. And I had a weird time because I almost missed my checkout. And the thing about that is it's kind of a big deal when you don't have anywhere to stay, and you have to leave the country. And that was a big issue for me. So I would just recommend having all your travel documents in hand. I know I've been pretty funny, but just seriously, make sure logistically you guys are being safe while you're out there traveling. My second favorite place was Paris. Anyone else? Love Paris. City of love, croissants. What did you say? Pain au chocolat. Oui. Je m'appelle Cora. That's all I know. No parler français? This is a bilingual show. Anyone speak Spanish? Oh, okay. Oh, sí. Un poquito? I actually studied abroad in Chile. That was really fun for me. You could probably tell just by looking at me, I need a lot of sunscreen. They don't have SPF 100 down there. So it was a real rough go for me as a ginger. The thing about being a ginger is I never thought it was weird until kids started kicking me. Yeah. So there was this day, it was National Kick a Ginger Day. No one told me. And it was weird because everyone was calling me Ginger, and I thought they meant Ginger Spice, so I thought it was a pretty high compliment. The Spice Girls were a band back then. I don't know how to describe them. World domination, they're pretty amazing. And I thought they were calling me Ginger after the Spice Girls. Turns out they were calling me Ginger in South Park. And I was like, oh, they don't like them in that show. So that was really rough for me, but I came around. Another cool thing about traveling and when you're able to just get your passport stamped freely, this was in a previous life, you're able to just go and do things. How many of you have ever just gone about a day where you don't have anything planned? You know what I'm talking about? Just a day off. No, you all seem really tired and overworked. Okay, I'll switch the subject. We haven't been able to go anywhere for 2 years. But the next time you're able to do that, I hope you indulge in that. One of the things I do with Tits Up, one of the things I try to do with just my storytelling, jokes, anything that I'm doing, is I'm not here to make light of the darkness, but I want to see the light through it. And so that's why I get to do things and make these dreams happen, where I get to talk to you all and have you awkwardly stare at me while I'm talking to this microphone. This is my dream. This is what I wanted. I'm living it, baby. I'm living it. And I think it's really cool that we all get to come together and, do all these things. One of my biggest things about COVID and when everything happened was I actually closed on a house 3 weeks before the pandemic hit. So luckily I did have a place to live. Yeah, it was a pretty big deal. Thank you for the awkward slow clap with that. Another dream of mine that I got to bring to fruition. And I'm a big believer in manifestation. You guys do manifestation? Power of affirmation? You guys, crystals? Do you guys do crystals? You do. Do you guys do your own tarot readings? You don't. Okay, so you're not that into it. Does someone have a tarot deck? Why are you pointing? Do you know things? I feel like you have a sixth sense or a third eye chakra. I'm getting that vibe because I have it, obviously. What's your name? Nola, Nola, N-O-L-A. That's beautiful. I feel like you guys are gonna, you're the Spice Girls. Do you guys sing? Are you a band? Did you say you rap? That's amazing. If I gave you the mic, would you do something? Or would that be awkward? Do you want to? Oh, she's like, no, but for real. Come on up. Let's do it. Do you have a song picked out? Do I look like I know what a diss track is? You youths? What's that mean? Is it recorded? It's a pre-recorded thing? You rap a roast. Not like a crock pot thing. Okay. Do you, when I say it's unscripted, this is what I'm talking, yeah. Can I play it? You can do it, yeah. Oh, there it is, awesome. Okay, and what was your name? Charlotte.
Okay.
Are you gonna say, yeah, you can hold them, this is your
Okay.
moment.
Okay, wait. Yep. Okay, you do, let's do these two and I'll do the last one.
Yeah, no, whenever.
Wait, what? I'll do this one and I'll do the last one. Okay.
Find your zen.
Okay. Don't. Okay, give me a beat. Let's talk about this elf on the shelf. He's annoying and whiny and obsessed with himself. Want Meredith so bad, but so did Sam Beck. Date him for clout. You really want to be next? Isaiah falling for mayor faster than Tyler. In the process, somehow his ego getting higher.
Oh! Give it up! Wow. You guys are the future. I'm kidding. That was amazing. Give it up one more time for them. That's incredible. Wow. If someone would have given me a mic, I would have ice skated because I thought it was Tara Lipinski, but that's really cool that you guys did that. That's fascinating. How long did that take you to work on? Oh, because that's just game recognizing game. I get it. Yeah. I'm down, kids. I've never felt older in my entire life. I might be 37 after tonight, honestly. I'm like, what's happening? How you guys doing up there? That's what's up. That's what's up. So, like I was saying before the real show got on stage, I did close on my house a few weeks before COVID hit, and I manifested that house from Paris. It's this whole big cool story, but I basically was like, I want to set roots down, found this house, was able to do that. But when I closed on the house, a lot of things started happening. Like weird dudes just started coming around, and I don't mean in the good way. No, there were just like a bunch of dudes named Chad who would just like wander around. And they'd be like, hey, can I talk to the homeowner? And I'd be like, oh, it's me, Chad. Because it's not 1954. What I mean is women can buy houses. You guys can do anything you want, okay? And so I'm talking to Chad, and he's like, I got a few questions for you. I'm like, sure, come on in, because it might lead somewhere. I'm lonely, desperate, it's a pandemic, come on in. Let's get to talking, okay? So Chad's like, a few questions, how many doors you got here? How many windows, you know? And I'm like, those, the ones in the basement, whatever. He's like, does your back door slide or pull open? And I'm like, whoa, Chad. Make me a drink first, okay, buddy? And for the record, it pulls. Butt stuff's weird, but it's one of those things where I'm not here to let me put it this way. If you're at a table, okay, and you've got rolls and you want to put butter on them, it's good to know that butter's an option. To put on the roll is what I'm saying. Yeah, I think I lost some of you. I'll reel it back. So, speaking of rolls, so Chad is like asking me all these questions, and I'm like, we have our moment, and then I'm like, Chad, you need to GTFO. You need to get out. Because I'm not having fun with Chad anymore. And one day I had this epiphany because I've lived a long life. I've lived like 30 places. I used to live with this Mormon family in Wyoming. It's a long story, but it's weird because it was like my own personal hell. They don't drink alcohol, they don't drink coffee, and they had 6 kids. And I was like, it's weird how the 2 things I want most in life and the one thing I don't are all, right here. And I lived in their food pantry. They're very prepared people. So I lived in their food pantry, and every morning at 7 a.m., 6 little hands, well, I guess 6 times 2 is 12. Good job, kids. And all these like hands are like coming out of the door, and I'm like, I hate my life. So Wyoming was tough for me. But when I was in Wyoming, I got an IUD. I think it's pretty obvious why. Yeah, big IUD gal. I get it. Not that I don't love kids, like I've said many times. And it was really neat because I learned a lot of things about myself in Wyoming and the open roads and the nothing to do. And living with a Mormon family was very transformative for me. So as Chad is walking around my house, I'm thinking about this IUD I got. I'm thinking about a bunch of other things. How I was just a wild woman about town, and now I'm settled with a house and a cat. Any cat people out there? I love that. What's your cat's name? Elliot. Adorable. What's your cat's name? Drew and Furiosa. Beautiful. Was there a cat person over here? There's a few. What are their names? Wow. Dusty. Like the road. Sorry for the finger snap. Don't know what that was. That was awkward for all of us. And it was with my left hand. I've never done that before in my life. That was wild. So, I love cats. And what I mean by that is I hate them. But I got one because I thought I was allergic. So COVID happens. It was early on. My coworkers were concerned about me being able to take care of just me, myself, and my 12 bottles of Tito's. They didn't think that I could handle 12 bottles of Tito's and 4 houseplants. And I was like, joke's on you, Sarah. I can handle it very well. So 2 weeks of COVID goes by, right? And I'm like, oh, tapped out. I need something else to love. And they were like, why don't you look up a cat? Like, look up getting a cat. They all had cats. And I was like, okay. So I Google cats for sale in Des Moines. And this little ginger fucker, looks me dead in the eyes from the screen, okay? I'm scrolling, and then all of a sudden, we lock eyes. First thing I noticed about this cat, he has ginger hair, straight up, legitimately, just like my color, okay? Second thing, his name, Archie. So cute. Third, this cat's birthday. Guess what it is? January 1st, New Year's baby cat. Fourth thing, and I'm not kidding, gang, I'm reading this word for word off this cat's bio. Because, yeah, they do bios. Big, orange, and lovable. Loves to be held in between naps and eating. Same, Archie, same, literally. Word for word, that is my farmersonly.com profile, okay? The only difference between me and Archie, he found a home. Yeah, that one always stings a little bit too much. And so now that I'm this woman who has a cat, I have a Chad, apparently, in my house for a little bit. I start thinking about Wyoming. I start thinking about my time. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to make up a little song. So before I get to the song, I don't want us to forget why we're all here. And it's for a gal's birthday whose name I forgot. I want to say Siren. Cynthia. Don't tell me. Spell it. Sabine, like I said, yeah. So Sabine is the reason we're all here tonight. I would love to sing you a happy birthday song, but not like the regular song. I'm gonna make you up one on the spot. Is that cool? Okay, I just have to get my guitar, so don't make it awkward. Clap or laugh or something. You guys are pros. What's your favorite color? Classic. Love that. Okay, blue. Are you in sports? Do you do music? Thank you, Matt. I mean, besides the sick beats you dropped. What else do you do? I play soccer. Soccer? Mia Hamm. cool in my day. Back when. Sabine. Or is it Sabine? Or Sabine. Okay. Killing it. Sabine. You're 14. Color blue and apparently kicking things. Sorry, guys. I just realized there's a mic I could sing into. So you could all hear what I just said. I'm a professional. Okay. Sabine, you guys sing along if you know the words. You're 14. Your favorite color is blue, and apparently you love kicking things. There it is. I don't know if you've ever been to a place called Chuck E. Cheese, but I bet you'd love it, Sabine. Happy birthday to Sabine! She's like, I know where we're not going for my 15th birthday. When you guys are 21, come to Tits Up, please. I think it'll be a good time. So, yeah, I'm in my house, right? With my cat and my Chad. And this song comes to mind. ADT and an IUD for home and Heim insecurity. All my entry points covered to a T with ADT and an IUD. It started back in Wyoming in 2015. Went to Planned Parenthood one evening. Got the Mirena and about passed out. Then I spent the next 2 days lying on the couch. IYK. It reached its expiration date earlier last year, so I got another 'cause no children wanted here. Plus, I forgot to put a tampon in, and I saved a lot of dough on pads and ibuprofen. Then I bought a house and had to lock it down as a single woman with my wits about town. And made my home feel nice and safe with all the doors and windows boarded up like a gate. Now I'm covered from the inside out. From the tip of my roof all the way to my spout. Thanks to my ADT and IUD, I got home and I'm insecure. I've been Coral Tati, thank you so much!
Keep it going for Coral. Isn't she fantastic, right? If you'd like to see Coral again, you can see her at Tits Up over at Teehee's at the last Saturday of this month, the 26th, or the last Saturday of a lot of the months of the year. So be sure to get your tickets to that, just like her. Yes. One more time. Thank you. So also, can we get a round of applause for this table right here for wanting to come to a music venue for a birthday? Yes. Kids are a lot cooler than I remember growing up. So also like diss tracks, like my head is still spinning from the idea of like, I don't know if I could have gone to school knowing that like a diss track could come at any time, you know? Or like all of the mixtapes you can make about your teachers, like the possibilities are just, can't even imagine. But we're gonna take a little break. Time to visit the bar, visit the bathroom for folks at home, potty break time. And we'll be right back with Janee Harvey. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us here at XBK Live right here in Des Moines. And thank you for watching at home wherever you might be tonight. Whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, thank you for tuning in and watching another one of our great shows right here from XBK. How y'all feeling tonight? Did you love that first comedian? Yes? Yes. Coral's got some new fans. And I hope if you're watching at home, I hope you love Coral too. Of course, I know you got your phones on you, and I know you got your phone because you're watching right now. So go to XBK's page and throw them a like and a follow so you can keep up on the great shows that we'll bring you for the rest of the year. Of course, go ahead, do it. Text a friend, tell them to tune in right now. They can join in on the fun, and you can share these memories later over coffee or tequila. I'm still on that. Yeah. So yeah, do me that favor. Just throw them a little text message saying, hey, what are you doing? Go check out this show. Here's the link. Click, clack, bow, bow. All right. So, of course, it's already time for our headliner tonight. So who's seen Janee Harvey before? Okay. So we've got some new friends here in the house. Hi, new friends. What can I say about Janee that you don't already know? She has been holding it down here on the XBK stage through the pandemic, and, I'm so thankful for artists like her because, it does take this community, it takes this village, and we were in a tough spot, and sometimes what you can give is financial, and sometimes what you give is your time and your talent. And I'm so thankful that Janee shared those talents. Yes, she did both. Time and money. So if you got time and money to share, we're happy to take both. After we shut down the show, we'll do an open mic. It'll be real touchy-feely. It'll be amazing. So I'm so thankful that artists, come and see this place as an oasis where they feel safe to share their art and exclaim their voices and give their perspectives, and that we can give them a platform to get out to the whole world and let them know that this is what's happening right here in Des Moines. So I'm so thankful for people like Janee, but I'm also thankful for people like you that keep us open and keep us going and keep us laughing and happy and keep us fed, because this pays the bills. So, of course, tip your bartenders. Don't be shy. Have you seen these gas prices? I know you're tired of talking about it, but have you seen these gas prices? Okay. Help a brother out. Help a sister out. Tip heavy. And if you're at home, I don't know, send a Venmo. We'll figure that out. Just text me or something. So let's get into the show. Y'all ready for our headliner tonight? There we go. Still saving your throat? I thought we had him this time. All right, this time, make a lot of noise. Make so much noise and do it with your whole heart that he feels the need to join in and put his throat on the line. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. That's the energy we want to see. Keep it going for Janee Harvey.
Not sure how this works. Okay, a couple of things before we get started. I need to thank my family who might be joining online because I asked them to join so it didn't feel like I was talking about them behind their back. So I'm happy if you logged on. And I'm going to give a thank you to Sabine because, my God, when I was 14, I would have said hell no to the mic. In fact, I said hell no to the mic till I was in my mid-40s. So I'm gonna channel a little bit of your bravery tonight. Say yes to the mic, people. Okay, so performing comedy has provoked some strange responses from people. People sometimes ask me, so are you funny? Does Bob Dylan have a good voice? I am up here because I make myself laugh. I am caught in a cycle of self-affirmation that is really no different than people who hit the like button on their own Facebook posts. You've seen them too, huh? I find these people fascinating. Do they hit the like button immediately after creating that post? Do they ever struggle with the appropriate emoticon they should select after their own post? Or are they scrolling at some point in the future and they just feel a deep resonance with the words, "Oh, wow, those words, I couldn't have said it better myself." Like. People in my life have asked me what brought me to try comedy, and I have to answer honestly. I need attention. And as the middle child of 7 children, I felt the same way. My parents never even learned my name. I left the hospital without a name. They obviously knew I was coming. And growing up, they mostly called me number 4. Except for those times they accidentally called me number 3 or 5. But really, my family is the source of my humor. It's mostly a skill I developed to get the attention I needed, but I also have to assume it's in part genetic. We were there, being raised by my mom was being like raised in boot camp, humor boot camp. We were there to learn, and we were there to learn to survive. Here is a great example of my mom's quick wit, keeping us nimble. When my mom was pregnant, one of the many times she was pregnant, my sister asked my mom, "What color eyes is the new baby gonna have?" And my blue-eyed mom, who was married to my blue-eyed dad, said, "Well, if the baby's eyes aren't blue, we're getting a divorce." My little sister was racked with anxiety for months waiting for our little brother to come into the world. And minutes old, my sister ran up to him in the delivery room and pried his slippery eyelids open. Because, you know, raising 7 children will save you. And I think the standards of parenting really shift when you have that many kids. You can't care about each of them as individuals. It's more like a Costco version of giving love. You give it in bulk, and you hope it lasts a long time. And the parenting success is measured by how many children are, 1, kept alive. Most of us made it. And 2, not lost. If you came to the comedy show, C- on that one. The images I'm about to show you will illustrate my mom's parenting. This is my mom. She is on vacation with her children, and she's happy. This is also my mom, and my little sister is on the left side, and she is mad because she just saved herself from drowning in the undertow. My mom's response, "Your younger brother is drowning right now." Do you hear him crying? I'm sure you have heard about the importance of understanding one's love language. To have good relationships, you must understand that people express love differently. It can be words, it can be presence, it can be physical affection or actions. In my family, our common love language is edgy sarcasm. And the love language is especially affectionate if you are the object of the joke, because then you know you exist. Whenever my mom makes a joke about me, I know I am no longer just number 4. I am worthy of her humor, and I understand my family's love language. This is why when I still call my mom today on the phone and I say, "Hey, Mom, it's me, your favorite child," she says, "Janae, I'm so glad you called." I know she does this because she loves me. And if my goal in life is to feel like I've had success with the opportunities given to me, then I have made some very, very poor choices in my marriage. I can be up on this stage performing for you, but Toby Parks owns the stage. I can knock on the door of opportunity, but Toby Parks owns the door to that music venue. You know, I was runner-up. I was number 2, Iowan. See, I'm obviously a big fan, a big supporter of all that Toby is doing in Des Moines and even nationally, but some days it gets annoying. It's not because I'm jealous. Toby is ambitious. She's a go-getter. She's aggressive in her pursuits. She has so many talents, she can't fit them into one lifetime. I, on the other hand, waited to perform comedy until there was a pandemic. As you heard from Madison, there was no other talent coming through the venue. When there is a pandemic, it isn't that hard for an audience to find you funny. Because they've been sitting through Zoom meetings all day wearing flannel bottom pajamas under their button-down business shirts, while surviving Omicron during an Iowan winter. I truly succeed by lowering people's expectations. I want to feel successful and accomplished while putting forward the least amount of effort. And it is this type of low-level effort that has me fantasizing about becoming a weatherman. Because the effort involved in opening up a weather app on my phone and telling people what the temperature is and what it will be tomorrow doesn't seem that hard. And it's not jealousy I feel when I see her in the register for the 50th time. I want to cheer for her, but especially on days when we've had some domestic tension, her media appearances, they feel like taunting. If we've had an argument because I'm frustrated with having more of the parenting responsibilities, I find it very convenient that I immediately have to see her photo spread in Billboard magazine. This is her evidence that she can't parent more because she's so busy getting her picture taken. When I drop Toby off at the airport for a business trip, I don't really need to turn on NPR and hear her chatting with Kai Rizdal. Really, I just said goodbye to you at the curb. I'm staring down all the parenting responsibilities, and I don't miss you. And it's not just Toby that is demanding my attention by making shit happen in the world. I am duly antagonized by my sister Jen. Due to her work writing books like Raising White Kids, Bringing Up Children in a Racially Unjust America, and the casual bathroom reader, Dismantling White Supremacy from Within, she has interviewed people like Hannah Nicole Jones, but she's also been featured on a national television special of Sesame Street. I know that right there, she's the one who looks like Oscar the Grouch. I don't really think it is that impressive that Jen made it on the New York Times bestseller list, because there were 8 other books that sold more copies than her. 8. I'm not without my accomplishments, though. The other day, I was standing in line at the local grocery store, and the grocery clerk had a reaction when he saw me. He said, "Oh, wow, I recognize you." I didn't laugh, it felt good. And in that moment, my heart grew a couple of sizes because I had made it. I was finally Price Chopper famous. In a flyover city. And then he said, "Didn't I see you talking to Elmo the other morning?" See, my sister and I are frequently mistaken for each other, which isn't surprising because we look similar. I think it is probably our generically gay haircuts. Or it could be the level of gesticulation involved when we're talking. There are many people who are innocently confused and mistake us for one another. We may look a whole lot like each other, but our differences show up quickly in our social interactions because Jen is friendly and I don't like people. And I still haven't figured out how to navigate this doppelganger effect, especially when people approach me thinking I am Jen. And they're effusive about some speaking gig she has done or some book she has written, and it's awkward for me to interrupt them and go, "I'm not Jen." They feel embarrassed. I have to give assurances, which makes me like people even less. And the whole interaction feels exhausting and messy, so usually I just play along. It feels harmless to co-opt her identity, because I bank the compliment and I pass it along. But this strategy backfired recently when a stranger approached me and gave me a compliment meant for Jen, and I said, "Thank you." But after complimenting me on my most recent essay, she lingered because she had some follow-up questions. What was a benign instance of pretending to be Jen snowballed quickly. And so to get out of the conversation, I finally interrupted her and I said, "You know, I don't actually mean anything I write." It's a good way to make a living, though. Other than my sister, at points in my life, people used to say that I look a lot like Ellen DeGeneres. No. There were the obvious similarities. White lesbian, boyish fashion, we both like chocolate mousse. But my whole perception changed one day when my little sister sent me this photo. And for just a moment, I was confused. How did she have a picture of Ellen? And I could see what others saw. I was a stereotype. But something that is pretty cool about being a stereotype is that the similarities are not just with Ellen, but it is also with Megan Rapinoe and even Anderson Cooper. I am not just a stereotype. I am a shape-shifting gay. See, having people confuse Jen and I rarely happened in a place as large as Brooklyn, where we both lived, but having doppelgangers in a city the size of Des Moines causes real problems. In fact, it almost kept me from developing a friendship with my now very good friend, Ryan. Ryan, the father to Sabine, the famous Sabine. See, it took a couple of years for our friendship to really get in sync because, well, Ryan was emotionally unstable and unpredictable. He didn't know I was going to say that. Sometimes I would see him out and we would fall into easy conversation. Other times I would see him out and he would pretend like he didn't know me. I would be waving at him, screaming his name, but he would give me the side eye and just hustle away. And one time, I saw him at the end of the grocery aisle, and I started to walk quickly towards him in an effusive greeting, but he wheeled his cart away and took off. I aggressively pursued him down the frozen meal aisle before losing him in the produce section. And this made me sad, because I like Ryan. But it made me sad not because security guards had to intervene in my pursuit. I just really wanted to be friends with Ryan. But shortly after this grocery store incident, Ryan reached out and asked me to go to dinner with him and his wife, Heather. Heather and I arrived at the restaurant first, and when Ryan entered the dining area, Heather ran up to give him a wifely greeting. Ryan immediately froze, blinked his eyes rapidly, and got a huge smile on his face. It was at that moment we simultaneously realized this dude was not Ryan. We had been doppelgangered. I still don't know which one is Ryan. So I am so relieved that February is finally over, because Black History Month really sucks for me. See, my 12-year-old, I guess it'd be important to insert here, my 12-year-old is African American. I failed to, that matters for context. My 12-year-old has decided, in addition to celebrating Black History Month, it is a time also for reparations. And he makes me do all of his chores. I'm relieved it's a really short month. Sadly for him, he failed to realize I'll be celebrating Women's History Month and Gay Month by having him do all of my chores. And Toby's the obvious winner, being a gay black female with 3 months out of the year. But racism is a serious problem, but one I'm gonna make some jokes about, because it's one that affects my family. For instance, it is well documented that black homeowners have the value of their homes depreciated by assessors. This is true, and that's not fair. But if you can't fight racism, sometimes you just need to exploit it. That's why Toby and I arranged to have our house assessed shortly before the Des Moines adjusted the property taxes. Toby greeted the assessor at the door. The assessor was a white woman. And Toby made sure to show her around the house and show her the pictures of our black children. And we were thrilled when she assessed our home for $40,000 less than market value, because her assessment was all we needed to submit to the city to have our property tax bill significantly reduced. Racism, make it work for you. So I have to get through my remaining COVID material since it's not going to be relevant soon. We can hope, that's right. Which I know is a little sad for the people of Iowa. Iowa struggles with a complex of being a flyover state, but we saw COVID as our chance to put ourselves on the map. Even international maps. For many weeks, it was with absolute glee that Iowans knew the other state saw us as the national leader in something other than corn. That's right, COVID infection rates topping the charts for weeks at a time. I'm glad at least 3 of you can laugh about these jokes. Must be some IDPH people in the room. It's a little sensitive. Okay. See, I came to Iowa from Brooklyn, and I was legitimately worried that the Midwest nice was gonna make me soft. I was worried I was gonna lose my edge. But Iowa's ability to tolerate and facilitate danger was unparalleled to my experience in Brooklyn. People laughed in the face of COVID. People in Iowa were snorting lines of COVID off of tabletops, roaring, "I am invincible!" And I am mildly concerned that Iowans may struggle to adopt an identity outside of leading in infectious rates. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and get out ahead of that one. So here is your quick public service announcement, Iowa. It is not sexy to lead in rates of syphilis. I've really tried to understand the consequences be damned attitude to COVID. But when a city's motto is Des Moines, nice on the eyes, hard on the nose, or from charming to alarming with one gentle wind, then maybe losing one sense of smell truly can make Iowa heaven on earth. Iowans have some explaining to do, though, like, how the fuck are your deer getting COVID? COVID is spread through sustained close contact, typically indoors. And these headlines have me trying to imagine deer sitting around a crowded indoor space, having long, intimate conversations with their human counterparts, all the while spreading COVID. Or maybe the Iowans spreading COVID to the deer are outdoors, but the intimate interactions are just a little bit less G-rated. I'm not an Iowan, I don't know. The hardest part of getting through COVID has been how we've all turned on each other. Like every decision around wearing masks has felt fraught. Am I wearing a mask because it shows I care about others? Is wearing a mask simply virtue signaling? Am I going to be armed with the right response when criticized for wearing a mask? And this moment came up for me when someone in a meeting made a critical comment about me wearing a mask, but I went with it. I simply peeled off my mask and said, "Wow, thanks for the permission to take it off. I was recently diagnosed with COVID." And the coughing is so much harder in a mask. The COVID scare hit close to home recently, though, when my 15-year-old texted me while he was at school to say he was experiencing a sore throat, headache, nausea, and fatigue. This text came the same week that the high school had notified parents that there had been a large number of COVID cases reported among students and teachers. I haven't been concerned about the kids getting COVID. I've mostly been concerned that they are going to give it to me. I've had the best prophylactic for staying safe from COVID. I haven't been in the same room with my kids for the past 2 years. So when I got home from work, my son was asleep in his room, and I threw him a surgical mask and told him not to leave his room without it on. The timing of my son coming down with COVID couldn't have been worse, because Toby had flown to Aspen earlier in the day, probably for a photo shoot. So I was solo parenting. I had to get dinner organized, take my other son to basketball practice, walk our dogs, all before I could even look for a COVID testing site. And we got the last testing appointment for the night way out in West Des Moines. And we sat in that cold, dark parking lot while I completed the paperwork to check him in. And the lab attendant reviewed the paperwork before regretfully informing me that they do not accept my son's insurance, so I could either pay out of pocket or cancel the test. I had to weigh the option of solo parenting while trying to keep him quarantined, but also going to work and needing to know now if he had COVID. So I didn't really have a choice when I handed her my credit card, and that's when she told me it'd be $120. And I made this face at my son for getting COVID. The test was quick and we headed home. Once I was in the house, I looked at the receipt and realized she had accidentally charged me $380, not $120. And I called the testing location but received a message indicating it was after hours. So no one was available to take my call, so I had one more responsibility added to my chore list. And while I waited for the test results, I logged onto my computer and noticed, strangely, that the last page open on the computer was the Center for Disease Control. And more specifically, the list of symptoms associated with COVID. Strangely, the first 4 symptoms listed, sore throat, headache, nausea, fatigue. Interesting. These 4 symptoms were in the same order that Amari had reported his symptoms. I bounded up the stairs, stuck my head in his room, and asked him again, "What were your symptoms?" This is when he said, "I have a sore throat, headache, nausea, and fatigue." I asked him to tell me more about his nausea and his fatigue. He said, "I think it means my stomach hurts and I feel tired." His COVID test was negative. Okay. So I joined a workout club recently, and the place I work out in is Jordan Creek Mall, which is way outside of my natural habitat. You can see it. It's not so bad. See, queer-presenting lesbians typically prefer a more natural habitat of highly urbanized areas for a reason. We are less of a spectacle, but that's okay. Whoa, 1 second. Less of a spectacle. My sleeveless Black Lives Matter shirt is in sharp contrast to the Lululemon spandex that every other woman is wearing. I fit in as well as the flamingo in the Great Plains. But I use this discomfort to motivate my workout, and the soundtrack that they play in the gym, it really gives me extra energy. So when the music includes techno-style remixes of Bob Marley, I push harder. And when the white woman next to me pauses to say, "If you feeling like a pimp, you go ahead and brush your shoulders off. Ladies is pimps too. You go and brush your shoulders off." I'm motivated to increase the speed and incline of my treadmill because the suburban whiteness is a fuel. And you think my motivation is to stay healthy? No. I go because they have a large TV screen where they show everyone's exercise score. And I am an extremely externally motivated person, which is a fancy way of saying, give me praise. You can give me praise. And in this class, you're rewarded by earning something called splat points. And the goal is to earn a lot of them, and I want them, and I want them badly, and I want them more than the people around me, and it's a rush of adrenaline and self-affirmation every time they splat me. And getting splatted up on a big screen TV feels good. But it feels fantastic when the whole class is made aware of my accomplishments, which is why I point it out every time I earn a splat. See, when I first joined the workout club, they didn't have a policy against yelling splat every time I earned a point. They have since explained to me it was more of a silent policy, but now they've made it a formal one. So now I am limited to pointing at the screen with wild enthusiasm every time I get a splat. And I'm not only motivated by the splat points on a screen, I am also motivated by the other exercises directly next to me. I am strategic with who I work out next to. Some people are motivated by people who have an edge on them, someone who's a little stronger or faster. Not me. I want to run next to the slowest person in class. And I look over at their treadmill screen, and I want to see that I am lapping them, and they think they're in competition with themselves. I let them know otherwise, because mockery is energizing. And knowing how much we all must be motivated by praise, I am really shocked that the trainer doesn't stop by our workout stations more and tell me how great my workouts are going. Because besides earning splat points, I will know I've truly accomplished something when the trainer gives me a shout out through her headset mic. I have already planned my celebratory dance moves for when I hear my name through the speakers. And see, the other day she walked over to me when I was in a squat station, and I set the weights down because my celebratory dance does not include dumbbells. And I wasn't sure if she was going to say, "That's an impressive number of squats," or if she'd accidentally whisper into her headset mic, "And I see you're doing so much more than the person next to you." But that's not what happened. Instead, she reminded me to keep my shoulders back and my chest up while doing the squats. And this instruction she did say into her mic for the whole class to hear. And I internally stormed for a moment before I called the trainer back over, and I pointed out to her that the woman at the station next to me could really use some pointers on her form. And also some motivation because I had twice as many splat points as her. See, winning is fun, but taunting is the best part of winning, which has probably been my favorite part of parenting. I have always been much better than my kids at Chutes and Ladder in Candyland. And as they've gotten older, it was time to move on to other games that I knew I could win. A game I enjoy, especially with my youngest, and which leaves many opportunities for humiliation, is racquetball. I'm not just better than Travis, I trounce him. And in the process, I can also make him look like an uncoordinated pretzel. Racquetball is a quick-moving game, and getting the ball to bounce off the back wall and ricochet off side walls makes it particularly easy to get an otherwise athletic kid to look like he is violently trying to hit a swarm of mosquitoes. By the end of our most recent match, the pretzel effect had lost its amusement, though, and this was replaced by my joy of making the ball land right next to the outer wall. The effect would be that Travis would run full speed earnestly, trying to get to the edge of the court, only having to decide at the very last moment if running full speed and slamming into the wall was really worth it. And I deliberately served the ball into the outer edges over and over and over, and I enjoyed watching him swing and miss and slam into the wall. Near the end of our match, he hit a ball that was a serving foul, and for those of you who don't know, that means the game is paused. It's a reserve. I took that opportunity to bend over and tie my shoe quickly. Well, he didn't realize the ball was out of play, so he backed up quickly and he swung at the ball with all the frustration I had been massaging in him throughout the game. And his backhand caught me directly in the head. As I was still bent over tying my shoe, unprepared for a full-throttled swing. I laid out dizzy on the floor as Trav hunkered over me, apologetic and worried. But don't worry, I was able to eke out game point, sucker. I really did not set Madison up for this opening question, so he kind of took it, but can you clap if you're a fan of NPR or IPR? See, qualifying to become a female host of NPR starts at birth. The precise moment being at the time of naming. The parents of Koki, Windsor, Ophira, and Audie weren't trying to saddle them with the burden of a unique name. They were setting them on a path of destiny. I qualify as a diehard NPR fan. In fact, I time my twice-a-day dog walks according to when my favorite shows are on. But the best indicator of my addiction to NPR is that I continue to listen even when the pledge drive is on. Some of you can relate, I see. You may be familiar with the 7 stages of grief, but people tend to be less familiar with the 6 stages of emotions that are triggered by the pledge drive. First stage, annoyed. It is pledge drive again. I swore we just finished with the last one. Second stage, anger. Who cares about your stupid tote bag? Third stage, guilt. I am a monthly giver, but maybe I should up the amount by $1 a month. I mean, I did let myself buy Starbucks last week, and that $5 could have gone to $5 Fridays. The fourth stage, disbelief. How could the pledge drive still be going on? Fifth stage, shame. I feel embarrassed for the hosts who have to beg for money for their livelihood. I want Charity Nebby to be enthusiastically talking about hollyhocks on Horticultural Day, not telling people that even their pennies make a difference. Sixth stage, acceptance. Fine, I'll give a one-time donation on top of my monthly subscription, if for no other reason to have my name entered in the drawing for the Viking River Cruise. NPR is truly a national treasure. It's a fair and free and balanced news source, which is critical to democracy. Where else can you learn about important topics like how Celtic dialects have influenced the singing of the cuckoo bird in eastern Kentucky? You heard that show too, huh? Amazing. And some of these reporters are absolute heroes. How many of you are familiar with Aisha Roscoe? That's how I feel too. She started in the role as a White House correspondent when Obama was president, but continued on in that role during the Trump administration. And I imagine this is the emotional equivalent to going to Cancun, Mexico for a vacation. You've come for some great experiences, you pack some swimsuits and other beachwear, and you're laying out in the sun having the time of your life, and then a Category 7 hurricane hits. Winds at 250 miles an hour, flooding everywhere, and even though you don't know how to swim, you just stand in the middle of that fucking storm, holding your ground, because you will not relinquish an inch to this shit show of a president. That is Aisha. She was holding it down in the middle of a Category 7, and she was alone, and she was unafraid. In fact, this reminds me, it has never been more important to stay informed and engaged. That is why you rely on Iowa Public Radio. Consider becoming a sustaining member at iowapublicradio.org. And on behalf of the IPR staff, if you happen to have a spare car laying around, they're happy to take that one off your hands too. So there is no doubt that what we consume for entertainment affects us. Sure, there are the obvious social ills promoted through TikTok, like those devious licks that had janitors guarding soap dispensers, and well-intended principals taking the doors off of the bathroom stalls. Do we have some firsthand witnesses? They're still traumatized, they're not answering. Sometimes I get a glimpse into the content my kids are consuming, like when I asked my 12-year-old if he wanted to watch the famous De Niro-Pacino movie Heat together. He asked, Heat? That's the movie with the two women in bikinis hugging each other, isn't it? I told him no, but I asked him where I could find that movie. There is no question that things I watched on TV as a child still affect me. If you watched Chucky as a child, you would never sleep in a room with a doll up on your dresser. If you've seen Watcher in the Woods, you know that a light breeze means a teenager is blindfolded and needs rescuing from another dimension. I've aged myself. There were like 3 other people who saw that. Children of the Corn? should keep you from speeding down dirt roads in rural Iowa at night, because a child will probably be exiting the cornfield and running in front of your car. And Old Yeller taught me that one's most trusted canine companion can quickly develop hydrophobia, which means today I still keep a close eye on my dog's saliva glands. But a more insidious show that affected me was the one about Carrie. You see that? As in Carrie from Little House on the Prairie. I still have flashbacks of little Carrie in the abandoned well every time I walk across undeveloped land out in nature. It happened so quickly. She was chasing a butterfly across a meadow and she was gone. It was a 2-part episode, which meant she was in the well for a whole extra week. She was dropped 50 feet below the surface of the earth and stuck. That show taught me you can't trust the ground. How fucked up is that? The ground. This show is actually the reason why I ended up living in New York City for 16 years, because they have lots of concrete, solid, developed earth for me. The more concrete, the better. Okay, last story, people. So many years ago, I traveled to Wilmington, North Carolina to visit a sister. And Wilmington, for those of you who don't know, is in the southern part of North Carolina, right on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean. Lots of beach, and the water is warm. And the first day I was in Wilmington, I had the perfect day. I boogie boarded and I bobbed in the ocean. But that first night, I was in the beach condo watching TV, and I landed on the National Geographic Channel. It turned out to be a very exciting show about sharks. In fact, it was Shark Week, which means back-to-back episodes about this ocean monster. And I was compelled to watch. I watched large schools of hammerhead sharks swarming seals, images of post-shark attack victims, great white sharks stalking other sharks. See, Shark Week is like porn. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And the next morning, I went down to the beach to enjoy the ocean, but every time I got into the water, I could immediately perceive how my legs looked to all the sharks in the ocean. And my legs looked tasty. And the Jaws theme music in my head was exacerbating the whole experience. I knew that the best protection against a shark attack would be keeping another person between me and the open ocean, because they would get attacked first. Which is why I kept other people between me and the open ocean, and I felt most at ease when there were whole families protecting me against the sharks. I'll be honest, I experienced a little guilt when I was using my family members as a buffer. I had ruined the ocean at the beginning of my trip, and I couldn't figure out how to overcome my fear. But that night I went to my sister's house, and I confessed to her what I had done. I'd ruined my trip. She perked up, and she said, "You don't need to worry about sharks down here. We don't have them." Incredulously, I asked, "Like none?" And without missing a beat, she said, "That's right, the water is too warm for sharks." That's what I needed to hear. And it matched up with something I knew. The ocean was warm. And the next morning, I got in the ocean and I boogie boarded for a couple of hours, and the Jaws music was gone, and I frolicked in the water without assuming I was attracting sharks. On the last night of my vacation, we were watching TV together when their nightly news channel started with a story about a 12-year-old surfer who had just had her arm bitten off by a great white shark earlier that day down on Carolina Beach. Carolina Beach. The very beach I was staying at. The beach where I had just spent much of the day casually dangling my legs in the ocean. My shocked face narrowed into my angry face as I turned to my sister. "You said the ocean was too warm for sharks." She sheepishly started laughing and said, "Would you have preferred spending the week sitting scared on the beach instead of being in the ocean?" So outside of my shark phobia, I'm not someone with a heightened fear response. My only intensely irrational fear from childhood, and one that has stayed with me into being an adult, is the spooky chill I get when I'm walking up the stairs from the basement. My body gets washed in cortisol. My brain has flashes of someone jumping out of the darkness and chasing me up the stairs. And I sprint just out of reach of the imagined hand trying to grab me. And I always emerge from our basement at a full sprint with a light sweat and a little out of breath. And I tell myself that sprinting up the stairs with a laundry basket full of clothes is a great way to stay in shape. More splat points for me. I am a little worried, though, that perhaps my amygdala, which I call my panic button, is growing larger and stronger the older I get. Knowing that I am developing an overactive amygdala, you would think I'd stay away from shows that can trigger these types of life-altering fears. But no. I spent this past year watching a variety of Netflix series about serial killers. Imperceptive to me as I watched these shows, my amygdala was growing like a weightlifter injecting steroids. This part of my brain is juiced up and hyped, and I see danger everywhere. I became convinced it wasn't just a monster in my basement, it's actually a serial killer. I used to run up the stairs. Now I can jump from the bottom landing to the top in one bound, still while holding a basket of laundry. I am wired. My Netflix-induced PTSD got so bad, I couldn't go into my garage without hyperventilating. What could save me from these fears? NPR, of course. I was listening to an episode of This American Life recently, and the episode was stories of people overcoming their fears. And I immediately had a sense of hope that these stories could help me develop some strategies to undo the damage I had done to my brain. The first story was about a man who had a debilitating fear of spiders. If someone mentioned the word spider, the guy would scream. You can say serial killer. I'm not going to scream. So his fear was much worse than mine. Every aspect of his life was affected by fear, and I was convinced that if he can overcome his intense fear of spiders, then I can overcome my fear of serial killers. The man's journey to overcoming his fears involved working with a psychologist, using cognitive behavioral therapy, and her approach involved gradual but immersive exposure therapy to rewire his brain. She talked about the amygdala having an outsized effect on the brain, and her approach was to give microdoses of MMDA, also known as ecstasy, while putting images of images of spiders in front of the man. The change was miraculous and life-altering. He went from screeching at the thought of spiders to holding a tarantula in his hand. And I was leaning hard into this story. I quickly started calculating how I could use this approach to work for me. I don't know anything about microdosing or where to get ecstasy, but there is the internet for that. I could see the path forward to healing: therapy, ecstasy, and exposure therapy. I mournfully realized exposure therapy wouldn't work for me. See, this man was irrationally afraid of something that would not harm him, and I am irrationally afraid of something that will totally harm me. His success story concluded with him being locked in a room with a tarantula. My therapy is not going to end successfully if I am locked in a room with a serial killer. Dismayed, the only relief available to me is the large quantities of ecstasy I have ordered off the internet. Thank you guys for coming out tonight.
That's right. Keep it going one more time. Janee, cool, Harvey. And we're at that sorrowful, sad part of the show where it's time for us to go our separate ways for the night. But, of course, I want to ask, did y'all have a good time tonight? My friends up on the top, did you have a good time tonight? I'm so glad you could join us here at XBK. And of course, all of you at home who are watching, of course, keep your eyes on this space because there are always great shows that we're broadcasting on Facebook and on YouTube. But of course, if you want to come back and see us again, please go to our website, xbklive.com, and get some tickets. And I hope to see you again right in this room. Have a great night. We'll see you next time. Get home safely. And of course, tip your bartenders. Thanks again. Good night.